Can anyone able to see my screen? Guys, can you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. So I'll just quickly recap what we have covered yesterday. Okay, so yesterday's session was like you know understanding the course structure, correct? Where we have, where I have explained you how this course is basically designed to make uh, people understand about the vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, right? So we are starting this course first by covering the prerequisites, right? These are some of the essential things which you have to know before you get into the information security or vulnerability assessment or penetration testing role. If someone is already having this basic knowledge, that's fine. Or else, even we are also going to cover this part. After that, we are actually helping you to understand the penetration testing methodology and different types of uh, testings, like what is white box, black box, gray box testing, which one to choose, which has more beneficial according to the requirement. Okay, then we are going to apply the techniques on the network and also a web application. So these are the two core areas where we'll be covering here in this course. So once you complete this course, you will be able to understand how to find vulnerabilities in the infrastructure and how to exploit them, and similarly in the web application as well, right? And yeah, of course, various things I have covered, like course overview and objective, what the takeaways, from this particular course, then why to learn. Okay, I've explained the various stats to you, right? Then the career opportunities, demand for the cybersecurity domain. Okay, uh, what kind of skills required, right? There are technical skills required, which are like networking fundamentals, operating system details, operating system knowledge, and basic of the scripting. Okay, and then soft skills also required, right? Communication skills, analytical skills. You should have this curiosity and continuous learning, right? And then the lab setup part, the system requirement to get started with, right? So these are all the things which we have covered in the yesterday's demo. Okay, now I'll be starting with the first part where we'll be covering the prerequisites. Okay, so first let's understand what is the vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Hope you already knows about it, but let me also explain you once, right? So when you say vulnerability assessment, uh, of course, when you say vulnerability is a weakness, guys. Okay, vulnerability is a weakness. It could be in the system, hardware, software. Okay, or in any anywhere in the organization, right? Maybe it could be on the architectural uh, design, right? So in the vulnerability assessment, what we do is, okay, we um, we go and perform a systematic review designed to identify the security weaknesses in the information system. It focuses on finding and classifying the vulnerability. So our main intention of performing the vulnerability assessment is identifying all the vulnerabilities in the organization and prioritizing them according to their severity and classifying them, and highlighting to the asset owner or the or the manager or the respective team, saying that, hey, we have these all the various vulnerabilities which are sitting on the so and so assets, and we'll give the detailed report to them. So in vulnerability assessment, the assessor will use some kind of a tools, automated tools in the organization, and they run the scans on the infrastructure to identify various vulnerabilities. Okay, and then they sit and classify them, prioritize them, and share those reports to the patch management team. Okay, and they will be start working on it to remediating those vulnerabilities. So this is a proactive approach, guys, and it is very important nowadays. Every organization have this vulnerability, management program, because there are a lot of new vulnerabilities are coming up into the internet. So if you are not identifying and if you are not taking an actions on them, so hackers will identify those vulnerabilities and exploit those vulnerabilities to get into the system, and that can leads to the data breaches, uh, right? So it is a proactive approach, right? Before someone finds and exploit it from the outside, when you work for an organization as a vulnerability assessor and as an ethical hacker, your responsibility is to identify it and help the team to mitigate it, right? This is the vulnerability assessment. And when it comes to penetration testing, so penetration testing, on the other hand, involves a simulated cyber attack aimed to identifying and exploiting vulnerabilities within a system to see how they can be abused. So it is going one step ahead, okay, comparing with the vulnerability assessment. So in vulnerability assessment, we identify the vulnerabilities, okay, and we report it. But when it comes to penetration testing, okay, so penetration tester will perform the attack like a real hacker to see, you know whether he can able to exploit those vulnerabilities, and till what level he can able to get into the system or a network. Okay, it's like a real hacker who is trying to exploit the vulnerabilities on the system. Okay, but it is basically a simulated attack which are performed by the penetration testers with the proper permissions of an owner, because we are not the one who has the malicious intent to damage something, or to steal something on the organization, right? So what we do, we just simulate the cyber attacks to exploit those identified vulnerabilities to see how we can able to abuse them, till what level we can able to penetrate and get into the system. Okay, so yeah, some organizations will only have the vulnerability assessment. Okay, let's say for an example, when it comes to network, okay, network is a live network, right? You cannot create a replicate network. So they always want us to, like, I can say 85 to 90% of the time, they always want us to only identify the issues. Okay, they don't want us to exploit them. Okay, but when it comes to, let's say, web applications, APIs, mobile applications, they are given to us by putting them in the UAT environment, okay, which is user acceptance environment, like I can say a testing environment. There you can try all the attacks there. Okay, so because there you will not have the real data in it. Okay, um, so yeah, when it comes to like applications, APIs, mobile, of course they want us to exploit identified vulnerabilities and highlight them. Okay, so what we do, once we simulate the attack and identify the various vulnerabilities as a part of the penetration testing, we create a report. Okay, we create a very formal report by highlighting the each vulnerability to them, and we will tell them the impact. If in case if we are not patching it, this is how the hackers can get into the system and they can steal the information, right? Hope you are clear with these two terminologies: what is vulnerability assessment and what is penetration testing, right? Now, uh, let's uh, of course let's understand the process, right? So when it comes to vulnerability assessment, the purpose of having this vulnerability assessment for every organization is identifying the vulnerabilities and classifying them. So the process of identifying these vulnerabilities are using an automated scanners, guys, because even we can do manual. We can also use the manual techniques also. I'll show you first. In this particular course, I'll first show you how to identify and exploit the vulnerabilities using a manual technique. Okay, like using Nmap, Metasploit. Okay, and looking at the CV details like vulnerability databases and exploit databases. I'll show you how the entire process happens, penetration testing process happens with manually. Then we will move to some kind of an automated tool. But organizations will use the automated tools. They don't depend or rely on the open source tool. Okay, but if there is any situation where you have to spend your time for troubleshooting, okay, to see if the how the tool is capturing the information, and when you wanted to involve yourself bit a detailed like in the packet level kind of a thing, these tools are really gonna helpful for you to make the difference there. Right? So and attack, I mean, organizations will have lot many assets, right? So these open source tools will not have those capabilities to you know uh, perform the authentication scans or generate the required reports kind of a thing, right? So that's where we use this tools like Nessus, Qualys, Rapid7, or OpenVAS. Okay, these are the some of the tools which we are going to cover as a part of the vulnerability assessment. Okay, these tools itself will give you the very stylish reports for us. There are a lot of different reporting formats are there. Even you can download the raw report and you can create your own custom report, or you can import those raw results into the Power BI, Tableau according to the client requirement. You can uh, you know create a dashboards and show them, because here we all focus on the dashboards itself. Okay, always the dashboard should look in the green. Okay, so yeah. And when it comes to penetration testing, like as I said, it's going one step ahead. Whatever the vulnerabilities that we have discovered, okay, as a part of the vulnerability assessment, we will go and exploit them and see how we can able to penetrate into it. It's basically a simulated real world attack to test the effectiveness of the security controls of an organization. Right here, what we do first, we will take the prior permissions from the owner. Okay, and then we will understand the scope and objective of the testing. When I say scope, okay, how many systems we are going to perform this penetration testing, right? So that is the scope. Objective, why we are doing it. So maybe as a part of the compliance, or when they have released a new update, or if it is a like new product, okay, it is going to the production. There are a lot of reasons, okay, different objectives for performing the penetration testing. So we just understand what is the scope and objective for doing this penetration testing. Okay, then we start information gathering about the scope or target systems. Like we collect as much as information about the target, which will give you a complete idea, like how many ports are open, what services are running in it, is there any legacy vulnerable services are running, or is there any misconfigurations are there. Okay, so once we have the complete idea about the target system, okay, once we identify the vulnerabilities, we exploit those vulnerabilities, guys. That is what basically called as a exploitation, right? Exploiting is like taking an advantage of identified vulnerabilities to get into the system. So once the exploitation is happen, even hackers or attackers can do post exploitation. Okay, like maybe let's say uh, you have an access on the target system as a normal user, but when you wanted to become an administrator to perform the administrative related task on the compromised system, right? Attackers, use post exploitation techniques to gain the administrative access. Like that is basically called as a privilege escalation. But when I say post exploitation, like after getting into the target system, okay, when they are trying to perform, let's say, privilege escalation or dumping, some details, okay, or gaining the more access or damaging something, all this comes under the post exploitation, guys, right? So once the post exploitation is done, we'll have the reporting part. Whatever we have identified as a part of the vulnerability assessment and which we have exploited them, we will be documenting it with the recommendations, right? When you wanted to become a good penetration tester, you have to know the remediations for the each and every attack, so that you will be helping the organizations to implement these remediations and recommendations to stop the attacks from the outsider. So here, for the penetration testing, we'll be using some of the tools like Metasploit, Bob Suite, and Map. Okay, I have just given the major tools, but of course there are a lot more other tools as a part of the Linux operating system. We are going to use them, guys. Right? So this is the all about the penetration testing process, right? And what is the difference? By this time you could have understand the difference, right? So the difference is, when it comes to vulnerability assessment, identifying and classifying. When it comes to penetration testing, we will exploit those vulnerabilities to understand the impact, right? So the approach what we use it for the vulnerability assessment is an automated approach. We use the tools like Qualys, Nessus, okay, Rapid7 to identify the issues. And when it comes to penetration testing, mostly it happens using a manual technique itself. Okay, there are not um, matured uh, automated tools are available. Okay, when it comes to performing the penetration testing, still, the best way to not to miss anything and perform the attack is manual techniques. Okay, here what outcome we can expect is, here we can expect all the weaknesses like vulnerabilities in our organization by a severity, right? We will get to know what kind of a security posture that we are maintaining and where we need to focus in terms of reducing the risk of an organization. And when it comes to penetration testing, we will give the detailed report on the exploitable vulnerabilities and potential impact. This helps them to understand, okay, understand the organization. Okay, these vulnerabilities having uh, you know exploits available in the internet. Someone may run these exploits to gain the access, and they can create the potential impact, okay, for an organization, right? So this is the difference, guys. And what is the key benefits, right? So now when I'm talking about the benefits of vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, right? So it identifies the security weaknesses before someone exploits them, and it helps you to enhance the security posture of an organization, right? It helps in strengthening the security measures and defenses, right? I mean to say, let's say there is some sort of a security policies which are, not effectively implemented or working. We will get to know, right? So as per that, we can also create a new security policies and implement it. And regulatory compliance ensures that the adherence to the industry standards and legal requirement. So every organization may compliance with, depending on the business what they are doing and data what they are dealing with. They have to compliance with one of the regulatory. So you will be compliance with that particular regulatory. and protects the reputation, guys. So if there is no security, if let's say if there is a data breach happen, what happen, all the organization users customers data will be going out, the organization reputation will goes down, right? If you look at the one of the example to understand uh, any type of a data breaches and what happened and all, there is a website called information beautiful. I'll show you that, where you can see all the visualized data breaches which are happened year on year. Okay. um, yeah. So what happens, like if your company data is out, let's say data breaches happen, of course people will not show an interested to do business with you, because you're not having a proper security over there, right? And also cost saving, guys, right? Mitigate the potential financial impact of security incident. Okay, if you follow this VAPT, like identify the vulnerabilities and exploit them, and mitigate them before you make it live into the production, it saves you a lot of cost, because you are already mitigated all the potential vulnerabilities which has more impact. Correct. So these are all the various benefits of having the VAPT, guys. And what is the information security? Of course, the VAPT domain is a part of the information security itself. Okay, as you guys are already aware. So what we do as a part of the information security, even the purpose of having this, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, why they conduct is to secure the information, right? To protecting the sensitive information and the systems that stores, process, and transmit all the organization data, right? In the name itself, it is there, right? Information security. So, information security is a practice of protecting sensitive information and systems that stores, process, and transmit. This protection is aimed to prevent unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, or destruction of the data. So usually data will be in three different stages, right? First thing is stored. We call it as a rest, which is maybe stored in your laptop, server, database. Process, when you're using it, okay, it will be in the RAM. Transit, when you're sending it to one place to another place, it will be in the transit. So majorly the data will be in three different stages. So we have to use the security based practices to safeguard data in these three different stages, from the unauthorized access, unauthorized use, disclosure, disruption, modification, and destruction of the data. What happens, let's say there is some very sensitive information which is stored in a specific server where the hacker got an access to it. And if you can able to steal that data, let's say it's a formula of your uh, you know uh, some drug, let's say you are it's a healthcare related industry where all the formulas of various drugs are stored in a server. Let's say attacker or maybe the internal threat, okay, got an access to that particular server. If you can able to modify it, what happens? There is no proper security controls which are deployed to prevent the unauthorized access on the system that might lead uh, you know uh, what that might allow the attacker to modify, delete, or update, okay, information, or steal the information, right? So here what we do, we use all the security best practices to protect all the organization's data, which is in these three different stages, guys. Okay, to understand that, we should first, learn what is CIA triad, which is very, very important when it comes to information security, guys. Okay, we can also call this as a information security triangle. So here, when I say CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay, so uh, this is like a fundamental concept of cybersecurity. It it consists of course, like as I said, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. When I'm talking about the confidentiality, it ensures that information is accessible only to those authorized to have the access. Okay, we have, let's say, a very critical information which is stored in a server. So that information should be only accessible to the persons who are authorized to access it. Right? That is what is basically confidentiality. When I explain this with an example, okay, only a bank employee should be able to see our bank account details. Let's say I am also user in the same bank. If I can able to access your bank account information, then there is no confidentiality. Correct. And then we have integrity. Integrity means maintaining the accuracy and completeness of the data. That means uh, the same data, whatever is stored into the server, no one should alter or modify that data, okay, from the unauthorized persons. I mean, there should not be any third party involvement in that particular communication. Let's say you and me both are communicating over the network, and if someone is intercepting the traffic and modifying it, what happens? There is no integrity. So integrity means we have to maintain the data in such a way that no unauthorized parties can involved in it in terms of altering it and modifying it. Okay, this means that the information you see or use is reliable and correct. Okay, we have, let's say, some purchase order, or let's say you're going for a bidding. You have already created the document, and someone got an access to your system and they have modified it. Then you have sent that to the bidding. The numbers have changed without knowing you, right? You might not get the project, right? That is what, and I mean, ensures that integrity. So integrity is like no third party involvement or altered by the authorized persons. And availability, ensuring that the information and resources are available to those who need them when they need them. Okay, I mean, authorized persons, whenever they wanted to access their information, that should be available for them 24 into 7. If that is not available, okay, let's say, what happens? uh, of course, uh, uh, it's like, again, denial of a service kind of a thing. Okay, um, the authorized person should have an access to them whenever they want. If that is not available to them when they require, and when they need it, there is no availability. Okay, so these are all the three basic elements in the information security. As a information security professional, we help the organizations to have this, three elements. Okay, we make sure that we provide the confidentiality, integrity, and availability for all their assets and the data, right? Because nowadays all the like suppose like when you wanted to apply this on the network or an application, right? So network will, if you see the network, there are a lot of information, there are a lot of information related to healthcare, credit cards like PCIDSS, okay, or personal identification information is getting transmitted. If that is being modified, there is no integrity. And if you take an example of a web application, okay, I mean, these web applications will also have very sensitive information carried from the user to the server, right? Of course, they have to make sure that they provide all these basic elements, okay, confidentiality, integrity, and availability for the data what they are taking from the user, right? So yeah, hope this is clear. Okay, what is meant by CIA triad, right? Are you guys clear? Like, what is the uh, VAPT? Then, what is the difference between the VA and PT? Okay, why it is useful? What is the process of doing it? Okay, I'm just giving you some of again, theoretical part over here. Okay, I'll show you one demo today. Okay, where I'll use one of the system uh, as an example. I mean, internal network like virtual systems. I'll show you one demo, guys. Okay, but before that, let me know if you have uh, some questions, or is it clear? Maybe I can take up all the questions at the end, guys. I think that would be the best, right? Yep. So after this, I have planned to cover some of the fundamental terminologies, guys. Okay. Um, right. So I have planned in a such a way that, like, first we'll cover the basics. Like, we'll start from the understanding the fundamental terminologies, then basics of networking, then Linux basic, then we'll get into the penetration testing methodology. From there, we will go and apply practically on the network and application. Okay, that is what I have actually planned for you. So if you'd like to see some demo, just to understand how we are going to learn this course in a practical way, I can show you that. Okay, let me share my screen. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll start two machines over here. One is the Kali Linux operating system. Another one is Windows 10. So here, the Kali Linux operating system is an attacker system, and I'm going to target the Windows 10 operating system, guys. So I'm running both of these machines in the virtual environment using a Oracle VirtualBox. I can guide you how to do this setup if you have like i5 with 8 to 16 GB RAM systems. People who are very new to this Linux operating system, don't worry, guys. Okay, I'm going to cover this. Even how to install and how to uh, use this Linux operating system. So this Linux operating system is actually meant for security professionals, guys. Here you can see the most advanced penetration testing distribution. So all the penetration testers will use this Linux operating system only. So it's an open source Debian based distribution geared towards various information security tasks such as penetration testing, security research, computer forensics, and reverse engineering. When you click on download, here you will have various types of um, you know uh, various types of Linux operating system. Okay, the one which I have used to install is the virtual machines. Okay, um, so maybe if you'd like to also do the same setup, first you need to download the virtual box. Inside that, you need to import this pre-built image which is given by the Linux, which is given by the Kali, right? Yeah, I'm just giving you high level, but yeah, once we start the course, I'll take the time and I'll explain you the step-by-step process. How do we do it? Okay, yeah. So now we have the two machines. Okay, one is Kali and one is Windows 10, right? Uh, okay. So first, uh, let me take the root access, guys. Sorry, let me take the root access. Root access is like taking an administrative access in the Windows operating system, guys. Which means you will have like you are the highest privileged user in this system. Okay. So now what I'll do, let's say this is my target operating system. Okay, I'll go and find out what is the IP address of this particular machine. Open a command prompt and type ipconfig. So this machine has an IP address of 192.168.217.253. Okay. So to just first check whether this machine is reachable or not, both the machines are connected locally. I am going to perform what host discovery scan. Okay, what I'm going to perform? I am going to perform the host discovery scan. So this host discovery scan is going to give all the systems which are connected to my network. For that, I am using ARP-scan tool. This is the best approach that we can use for identifying all the internal systems which are connected to my network. Right. So do we have that system? 253. Here you can see we have the 253 over here. You can also use nmap, guys. Okay, nmap is a network mapper. Nmap hyphen small n. This is for performing the ping scan. You can just define the entire your local subnet over here, slash 24. Go. Yeah, you can see again 253 is up, which means all the systems are reachable, guys. The very first thing what we check before we attack on the target system is whether the system is reachable or not. Okay. If it is not connected to internet and if it is not reachable for us, we cannot go ahead and perform the other steps. So here what I'm doing is I'm running a nmap scan to figure out whether the system is reachable or not. It is reachable. Then I'll take this IP address for the next phase, which is for performing the port scan, guys. Okay. So I'm running a nmap default sync scan on the target to check what ports are open on the Windows 10. Like ports are uh, like every service uses a different port, right? They are like entry points for an attacker to the system, right? So here I can see there are one, two, three, four, five different ports are open, and here we can also see what services are running on the target. So what I have done to just explain one demo where how to identify and exploit the vulnerabilities on the Windows 10. Okay, I have installed a vulnerable service in it called as a bad blue. Okay, this is vulnerable service which I have installed it. Okay, because this is like a new Windows operating system running with the latest updates. So what I have done is I have installed a service with some vulnerable version so that we'll have something to learn and exploit it, right? And I'm running this on the port number 80, guys. Okay, what is this bad blue is? Like bad blue is a server where you can upload the files and search the files. It's like kind of a file server. So we can see that it's running on the port number 80. Even we can perform the version detection scans to see the versions of each and every service which is running on the target operating system. This approach which I am teaching you, the same approach attackers will also start with. They identify the target systems, they perform the port scan, version scans to identify what versions are running on the target system, and if they identifies any vulnerable version. Okay, in my case, intentionally I have installed a vulnerable service in it, which is running with the bad blue HTTPD 2.7 version. Okay, so I'll copy this version and I'll Google it, okay, to see if there is any vulnerabilities are actually present in this in this version. Okay, so let me open the browser. There are various vulnerability databases are there, like NVD, okay, National Vulnerability Database, CV details, Rapid 7. So you can go and search there with the product wise. Okay, which product, which version has what vulnerabilities, or else you can simply paste the result and ask vulnerabilities. It will give you the result from the same you know uh, vulnerability databases. Like you can see you have the results from Rapid 7, Exploit DB, NVD. These are all some of the vulnerable databases, guys, which we can use it. So if I open this, or if I open, let's say, CV details, guys. Okay, this is the best one. I use it a lot in the real time. So here you can see bad blue, right? 2.7 version which we are searching for has four different vulnerabilities. You can see every vulnerability is mentioned over here with a unique ID called CVE. Don't worry, I'll be covering about this, like what is CVE, what is CVSS core, the process and all, uh, technically in the uh, upcoming sessions. But to make you understand how we work, okay, I'm explaining this demo, guys. So there are four different vulnerabilities, guys. Here we have the CVSS score, which is the uh, like what we call severity of every vulnerability, and we have the EPSS score, right? So most of them are like 0.94, 0.56, and 1.43. But if you see the EPSS score over here, which is 92.16, why it is 92.16? Because for this vulnerability, okay, which is stack based buffer overflow vulnerability on the pass through functionality of a bad blue 2.72, it allows the attackers to perform the remote code execution on the target. Okay, there are vulnerabilities, that is fine, but even the exploit code is also available in the internet. You can see public exploit, which means anyone like you, me, can use this publicly available exploit and run it against the target, and they'll be able to perform the arbitrary code execution on the target, which is going to give the uh, complete access of the target system. So for the exploitation part, we have to know where this exploit is. Okay, we have to take this exploit and we need to run it against the target, and we need to verify whether this exploitation is success or not. So for that, what I'll do to find out, I mean, now we found four vulnerabilities. Okay, one is very critical, where even the exploit is also available public, right? So if you look at the reference links over here, there are a lot of places which is mentioned. Uh, okay, right? So here, I think if you see the results from the exploit-db.com. So exploit-db.com is a platform where we can see the publicly available exploits, guys. Okay, whatever the exploits which are available to the public, we can find it over here. So you can see here we have an exploit code. Okay, I mean, we have not written this exploit code, guys. The person who has identified this vulnerability, he has written this exploit code as a part of a tester. What we do, we take this exploits and we run it against the target, and we see if we can able to you know take the advantage over that identified vulnerability or not. So for that, we need to run this exploit. Actually, this exploit is available with the metasploit as well. Okay, because I can see the results from the rapid 7. Rapid 7, of course, I mean, metasploit is a part of a rapid 7 itself. You can see if you log into metasploit console and if you follow these steps, you will be able to exploit it by giving the target IP and the target port number. Okay, what we have done first, we have started a Windows 10 system. We have installed, you can also install when you want to replicate this attack by clicking on this vulnerable app, run it on a specific port, then launch the port scan to identify whether it is running or not. Okay, and once you have this version, Google it in vulnerability databases to see if the vulnerability is existed or not. If it is existed, then we can take the advantage over that vulnerability when the exploit is available in the internet. So the exploit is available, which we can run it using a Metasploit tool. So I'm just launching Metasploit tool uh, by typing a command called msf console over here. So MSF console is like going to launch the Metasploit framework. Okay, you can see it is just starting. Once the Metasploit is started, from here we need to pick that exploit code which is available in the Metasploit database. There are like 2377 exploits are available. Out of this, we need to check if this exploit is available, which is matching with this CVE number or which is matching with this particular vulnerable bad blue version. So you can just use a search command, guys, like search, let's say bad blue. Okay, you got the result. You can see there are two exploits are available. One is for 2.5, one is for 2.7. We need to use the first one, or else you can also search with the CVE number. CVE is a unique for every vulnerability. You can like search with CVE. Okay, search CVE. Uh, when it is identified in 2017 6377. Okay, 2007 6377. You can see you got only one result now. It is so specific, right? So when you wanted to use this, copy it. Okay, copy this path and follow the steps, guys. Like you can just use the command like use and then type exploit. I mean, the same steps are also available over here in the Rapid 7. You can see after identifying it, use it. Correct. Sorry. Yeah, you can see it is automatically got loaded. This is the confirmation that the exploit got loaded to the console. Now you can give show options to see the available options in the exploit. I mean, we are using this exploit. Okay, we just need to mention the target details, right? Because we are running it on the Windows. So here the target details which I have to give is our host, which is my remote host or the target host. So what is our target host? Set our host. Our host IP address is this one, right? So you can copy this target IP address and set our host, put it over here, and set our port. In which port it is running? It's running on port number 80. You don't need to mention it again. Now you can verify it once whether these details are added properly or not, like our host and our port. Once it is added, even you can verify the version, where you are trying to run it. Okay, once it is matching and all, you can just type exploit. Okay, now this exploitation is happening. If it is successfully, I mean, if the exploitation is successfully happens, we are going to get a connection from the Windows 10 to our system. So here you can see this is a payload, guys, which we have used to part of an exploit. So this particular Metapreter session got opened between my system to Windows 10 system. Okay, like if I type over here, like maybe sysinfo, it will tell you where I am right now. I am in Windows 10, guys. Okay, so here there is no clue, nothing. It's just running as it is. User will not even have any idea what happened, right? There was a vulnerability. He might be running without knowing that there are certain very critical issues. So attacker has identified and he exploited it and he was able to get into the Windows 10 system. Even we can take the shell, guys, to make you again, understand. You can just type shell. You can say we are in Windows program. bad blue and all. So you can go and access all the files from the Windows system, uh, right? Maybe I'll just show you by navigating to the desktop, sorry, CD users. Yeah. Then let me go to a user over here, and then let's go to desktop. Yeah. Oh, it didn't. Okay, there is no desktop at all. Correct. There is no desktop. Okay, let's go to maybe downloads. Okay, dir. You will see all the files, guys, in the downloads. Let me show you. Downloads. You can see all the files. Attacker can also able to access it, right? He can able to download something, upload something, because he has an access to the system now. He exploited a vulnerability that allowed him to get into the system. If let's assume if this is something which has happened with a very critical server, hmm, of course, organizations, uh, you know, all data will be downloaded, modified, deleted. They can, okay, damage the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Correct. So we can do a lot of things, guys. I think what we can do after getting into the system, how the post exploitation works, uh, you know, to understand the hacker's mindset. Okay, I am going to cover the other advanced topics in the actual course. Okay, this is just a demo to make you understand about the entire process that we are going to follow in terms of learning it in our virtual environment. Hope this makes sense to you, right? Uh, yeah. So I'll just stop the session here, guys. I'll just take up the questions if you have anything. Guys, if you have any questions, let me know. I can take up. As this is a demo, I think feel free to ask all the questions.